What's poppin', fellow nerds? Today we have some gameplay from a couple weeks ago when I used my BlackWarGreymon OTK deck at my locals. This is round 1 versus a yellow WarGreymon player. And I won the die roll, so I'm forced to go first. Hey, I hatched my not one of Capurimon. I Digivolve into my Toy Agumon. Then I Digivolve into my Dark Tyrannomon for 1 to choke my opponent at 1. He starts out by hatching a Koromon. And then he plays a TK to put me to 3. And he adds an Angewomon to his hand from his security. And I promote my Dark Tyrannomon. Then I play my Toy Agumon from my hand for 3 to go to 0. Then Digivolve into Greymon to put him to 2. And then he goes to 3 from TK. I think this was my opponent's, like, either first locals or one of his first locals. He seemed relatively new to the game, which I don't mind. Everyone starts from somewhere. Then he just hard plays a Pitomon, put me to 3. And then he didn't attack, so I get to draw 1 card for each Toy Agumon, and then draw a 3rd card for turn. I hatch my 1 of Capurimon, there it is. I know I couldn't dodge it forever. Digivolve into my Reboot Toy Agumon. Probably the best black rookie that they have. Then Digivolve into my Greymon for 2 to go to 1. Then I Digivolve into my Metal Greymon to put him to 2, and then TK puts him to 3. So I have a perfect stack besides that 1 of Capurimon in my breeding area. I'm just missing a good BlackWarGreymon. Or I'll take a WarGreymon. Either one would be fine this early in the game. He Digivolves into Angewomon. He targets my Dark Tyrannomon with Angewomon's effect to -2 security. Then activates Blinding Ray to trash the top card of his security to gain 2 memory. And then Digivolves into WarGreymon to choke me at 1. Then I draw 2 cards, 1 for each of the Toy Agumon since he didn't attack, and then draw a 3rd card for turn. Pretty good. Then I Kamikaze my Greymon into his security, or attempt to anyway, but it does survive. Then I Digivolve into Metal Greymon, he goes to 3 from TK, and then Metal Greymon has Reboot. So if Greymon hadn't survived, I would have Digivolved on top of the Dark Tyrannomon. And that's just to avoid getting blown up for free from WarGreymon. Because my Dark Tyrannomon's dying on this turn if he swings. So he does swing with his WarGreymon. Activates WarGreymon's effect to add the top card of his security to his hand to -6 count my Dark Tyrannomon, so it dies. Then activates Angewomon's inheritable effect to play a level 3 yellow rookie. It's kind of redundant, but yeah. A level 3 yellow Digimon from his hand for free. Plays Pulsemon. Pulsemon's effect gains memory because he's at 3 or fewer security. And then it's 11k into my security. And he hits a 7k Gogmamon, so he does survive. He Digivolves into Pitomon for 1. And it looks like he forgets to draw here. I must have looked away and didn't realize this, because I definitely would have reminded him. Then he swings again for 11k into my security. Activates Angewomon's Inheritable to play another Pulsemon. Gains another memory. And it's 11k, and he checks a 5k Dark Tyrannomon and lives. Digivolves into a bunny. And I actually reminded him to draw here since I noticed. But I definitely wasn't looking when he skipped his draw on the Pitomon Digivolution. Then he Digivolves into WarGreymon for 3 to go to 0. And he Digivolves into Slash Angemon to kill my WarGreymon. Then I remind him to draw again. Alright. Let's see what I can do with 3 memory here. So I promote my stack. And right here I have to actually count on a misplay. Since he does have a blocker, I do not have the good BlackWarGreymon in my hand, if I remember correctly. I do have both of the bad black ones though. That's I regret playing them, but I do have WarGreymon in my hand, but I can only swing once. And I want to swing over his WarGreymon. So I just have to hope he doesn't block. Because I can just completely stall out his momentum if I can just get the WarGreymon off the field. And he does let it go through. So I don't just lose on the next turn, which is pretty cool. The better thing to do there would be to block that, obviously, but like I said, my opponent is new. So it's understandable that he either wouldn't think to block or forget that he has a blocker. I definitely did that when I first started playing. I would just forget I had blockers on the field. And then I play a Sonorizamon to put him to 3, and then I reboot my WarGreymon. And what's cool is if he doesn't get rid of my WarGreymon is 12,000 DP on my turn, and it's swinging for 2 security checks with jamming. So I can actually kill him potentially on my next turn if he doesn't clear it, or the Sonorizamon on his turn. As long as I don't die to the first check. He Digivolves into the bunny to go to 2. And I remind him to draw. So he swings into my security for 6,000. And Koromon's effects will minus 1k on my Sonorizamon. I don't block it because I don't want him to Digivolve into something and clear my WarGreymon. And if it's not game, I don't really have any reasons to block it. If it had been the only Digimon on his field, I definitely would have blocked it, but there's no reason for me to risk him doing something funky by baiting me into blocking. He does Digivolve into the Angelwomon though. So he minuses 2 security on the WarGreymon, sadly. So I can't kill him on this turn. And now I'm going to have to try to kill his Angelwomon. See if he lets me. And he does not block again, to my benefit. This is definitely a game I should have lost if my opponent had a little more game experience, but gotta utilize those blockers to protect your big guns. and then I play another Sonorizamon to put him to 3, and then reboot. He hatches and digivolves into a Salamon. He plays Patamon for 3 to go to 0. And then digivolves into Pitomon for 1 to choke me. And this game right here, like, obviously I still would have lost if he had just protected his bigger guys. But this game right here is why I don't like Slash. Like, yeah, it killed my board, but it just sat there after that, not doing anything. And so he doesn't block my swing with my WarGreymon, so I get to check his last 2 security. And because he did that, I can just kill him right here. So this is definitely another misplay. If he'd blocked that, I most likely would have baited another block and then crashed my Dark Tyrannomon, and that would have cleared both his Pittos. And then I would have had a blocker on my field, and he would have had Slash and a Rook, and I would have had 2 security, so he probably couldn't have killed me on his turn. But I do take game 1. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but if you have not already entered our giveaway for a box of BT4 Great Legend and the accompanying promo packs, make sure to enter that. The link is in the description. But let's get back to the video. Sadly, my opponent does choose to go second for game 2, so I'm forced to go first. Hatch my Kapurimon. Digivolve into my Reboot Toyagumon. Then play a Marcus to put him to 4. So now he's not going to be able to choke me this game, which is pretty cool. He hatches his Koromon. Then plays his Tsukaimon for 2 to go to 2. Then he digivolves into the Bunny for 1. I remind him to draw. Then he digivolves into WarGreymon for 3. I remind him to draw. And then I go to 3 from Marcus. And I forget to move the memory gauge to 3 from my Marcus. So I just give myself a disadvantage of this turn. We were just talking about remembering to draw, and I was telling him that I had to drill it into my head whenever I first started playing to draw when I digivolve, because I definitely forgot a lot too. And I guess I just got distracted. Now I digivolve into the Gogmamon, which this should have choked him to 1, but he does get 2 memory because I forgot about my Marcus. So he Digiburst 2 from the War Growl to minus 4k on my Gogmamon. Then he swings into my security and then dies to a BlackWarGreymon check. Plays a Pitomon for 6 to put me to 4. I digivolve into my Toy Agumon. And then digivolve into my Greymon for 2. Building up a nice little stack in my breeding area. And I digivolve into my Gogmamon for 3 to choke him to 1. Then he digivolves into his WarGreymon to put me to 2. Do I remember to set my memory to 3 this time? Yes, I do. Nice. And I actually told him I realized that after the turn had passed, and like a couple turns later, I realized that I forgot to set my memory to 3 on my second turn. And I mentioned it was because I was so used to not having a memory setter game 1 that I just got used to it. And I digivolve into my BlackWarGreymon for 3 to go to 0. My BlackWarGreymon's at 13,000 DP and he has jamming. So I swing into security, beat over a Salamon. I forget to tap my Marcus to gain a memory. I Digiburst 2 to unsuspend my BlackWarGreymon and then swing again with jamming. I Digiburst my Gogmamon to bump BlackWarGreymon up to 13k again. And I Digiburst again to bump him up. Now he's 15,000 DP. Then a Digiburst 2 to unsuspend and swing for 15,000 DP. And that was just to ensure I didn't lose to a Chaosmon Valderarm or an Edens. I don't think he has enough cards for an Edens, but definitely for a Valderarm. Then I swing with my Gogmamon into security for 7. Beat over the Salamon, nice. And I go into Chaosmon, unsuspend, and he still has the additional 4,000 DP. So he's at 18,000 DP. I swing and beat over the Valderarm. So you guys got to see one of the Wombos. See, you don't need Final Zubigon Punch. Just BlackWarGreymon and Chaosmon can do some nasty stuff together. I just checked 5 security and cleared his 1 Digimon with 2 Digimon on my field. But my opponent does scoop. There's really nothing they can do on their turn to keep from dying. He doesn't have any blockers in his hand. So I do take this match 2-0. And I do appreciate you guys stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content and want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.